Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to X Studio, as today we're going on with our remake series, and today we're covering the remake of Easier by Camelphat, which is included in their new album called Dark Matter. So let's dive into the project. So this track was a little bit different from the tracks I usually do, so I had to think about how to start the track. Then I started with some bass lines that are pretty much the same of all my projects, so I have two subs here, one which is covering the lowest part of the bass, one which is covering the highest part, so I have two different harmonics, but they are sounding like this together. And then I've added a little bit of arpeggio, which I did it with the Ableton ARP, so it's very quick and very easy to do. Then it's a serum, basically the same serum I used for the harmonic bass with a little bit of saturation, and then I cut all the frequencies I don't need it. And it's playing like this. Then I've grouped it all together and put a shaper box for the sidechain. A little bit of EQ on the 80 Hz because it was a little bit higher than expected, so I had to cut something. Then I moved with the main mid-bass part of the track, which is consistent of 3 serum. One is this one. So basically this is a Reese, as you can see, very easy to do. You have to tweak a little bit with the compression, the distortion and the filter, especially because you don't want the highest frequency to hit so hard. Then I added a little bit of chorus and reverb and a little bit of EQ on low, which I always do after all the stuff, even with the EQ of Ableton. Then I moved forward with this bass, which is very similar to Medusa's kind of bass, but had a little bit of release more and a little bit less of sustain, because it doesn't have to eat too much, so it sounds like this. And I enhanced all this part here because I needed it on the overall mix. You can see very simple with the design, you have a little init. Then I started playing with the hyperdimension, which is very useful at the time, and a filter, distortion, compression, delay, reverb and EQ. If you feel that the delay can be good enough on the serum, you don't have to put another delay after, just in case you are missing something on the serum delays. Otherwise you can leave it as it is. Then I have another bass. And it's very, very similar because it's pretty much the same. So you can see here the wave is the same. I have a different envelope here. Then the effects, I've added only the compression, distortion and filter. Then I processed it with a Super VHS, which, as you may know, is one of my favorite plugins, just to add a little bit of magic. And then a decapitator. This is a distortion from Soundtoys, which is really, really effective. Especially, you can have a little bit of crunchiness that you missed on this bass. Then I've moved forward, playing with the drums. The drums are maybe the most difficult drums I had to copy from the track, because they are so fresh, they are so new, they are so real. So I tried to find some good stuff to play with. Then I come with these instruments here. So I have a shaker. This is another shaker. Then I have the hi-hats. Then another shakers. So 3 shakers and 2 hi-hats. I always use, in all of my tracks, I think I always use closed hi-hats and open hi-hats, and just combine them together, just have a little bit of richness in the top end part. Then I added a ride. So altogether the drum sounds like this. There is a good movement, you have, you know, a nice movement. And then I had a little bit of problems to find the right kick, because I needed a punchy kick. At first I tried to sample the Camelphat kick, but I wasn't good enough, so I tried to replicate it with another kick, which is the result of a layer. Then I added my classic kick chain. You can find my kick chain in my previous videos, and I think it's punchy enough. I had to cut some frequencies and some punch with the transient because it was hitting too much hard. So I added a compression and a shaper box just to close, to trim the kick. So now I have the kick, the drums and the bass line, which is this kind of sound. Of course I miss all the good part of the track, which is consistent of a lot of layers, as you can see here. Let's start with layers, which are mainly for fill the spectrum. I started with the Solina, which is one of my favorite plugins of Arturia, and I started with a simple line, a lot of EQ, just to leave the top end part of the layer. And this is the plugin which I really love. The preset is called Solina Engine, but I just edited something clicking here. You can pretty much do everything with this plugin. You can edit the sounds as you want and as you like. Then I added another layer of contact this time. Let's see which one it is. It's called Corinth, and I think it's a default bank of contact. I really love the default banks, so I didn't have to dig too much into all the libraries. Then I added a kickstart, then a tape machine, just to have a little bit of noise that remembers the noise of the tapes. Then I EQ'd, and then after the EQ I put a Uber mode by Valhalla. In this case, with this preset here called Super 6, you can see the difference with and without. So it's a little bit of flanger stereo effect. It's really, really nice on it. Then with the last three layers, I have a serum. It's making the main melody, which is an arpeggio basically. I have two similar serum. One it's detuned, so you can see the detune is a little bit higher here, especially on this oscillator here. And then I did an arpeggio with the filter, putting the LFO here on 116 and doing an automation on the cutoff of the filter. You can see I played a lot with these effects here, just not to play it again. And then in the second part, the EQ is a little bit different. I have a little bit of crystallizer, which is one of the newest plugins I've discovered, which, as you can see, add a little bit of higher octave on the sound. So as you can see, without and with the crystallizer, it's very smooth, but it did its work. I really loved the way it's working, and as you can see, the cutoff is pretty much the same, and the effects too. So they are basically, I double the layer just to have a little bit of consistency more. So this was the main part. Then I add, for last but not the least, I added this piano, then I noticed in the original track was playing all along the track, so the melody is this. And the piano is from the Arturia Pop Grand concert. I added a lot of effects to make it sound bigger, so without the effects it's a little bit simple. So I cut a little bit of frequencies with the Pro Q, then I added a C6 stereo on the preset Piano B. Then I had Uber mode again, 2-tap chorus just to add a little movement on the piano, then a Fab Filter Saturn, just to increase a little bit of it on the top hand from the 500 Hertz, and then a kickstart, a little bit of sidechain on 40%. Now, as you can see, it's playing a little bit more, so you can hear all the instruments together. And it's pretty much all, but I had to experiment with an FX, which is basically a white noise. But I had to transpose it on -5 semitones and a little bit of key, because I've noticed that the Camelphat white noise is always a little bit dirt, so I didn't want a pure white noise hitting too much on the highest part of the spectrum. So if you see the difference without the transpose, it's super clean, but if I add the transpose, it's really, really dirty. And if you go down with these semitones, you can make it a little more dirty. So if you are wondering how they do even the white noise, I think this is the right way to do this. And that's it, guys. This was Easier by Camelphat. I really hope you enjoyed it. I think it's one of my difficult tracks I've done, but you know, you have to do some new stuff even to maintain your workflow very, very good. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and see you next week for another big remake. Ciao!